say, I've been thinking a lot about Lenny Bruce lately. And for those of you, most of you are initiates of Lenny Bruce. But Lenny Bruce, you know, he was a comedian, but he was a great First Amendment warrior. And near the end of his career, actually the end of his life, he died really young, like 47 or 48 years old. He had so many First Amendment battles because he was a moralist, really. I mean, he started in titty clubs, you know. So he had all this foul language. I mean, and I do too, and I don't have any excuse. And so he went and he started talking about the First Amendment on stage. He kind of went crazy, and he was in all these court cases. So we would bring these thick deposition files on stage from legal cases, and he would sit there and like read them. And you know, if you've ever read a deposition, it's like you hate yourself, you know. So it's like, so you're in for a very promising evening. He died of a heroin overdose. So, honey, that's my wife Paula. And Paula, you know. No opioids that you know of, but I'm going to tell you now, lock up the smack, okay, baby? Because after tonight, who knows what's going to happen. All right. Okay, so without any swear words, that's my impersonation of a titty club comic. Now, I could use this. Did I swear?
No.
I didn't. Fuck! All right. I feel better. All right. I'm going to ask you to do something tonight and as we go forward. The people that are here, and I'm sure this is happening it is happening all over the country. We have to have a revolution. The biggest fucking turd in the history of the world is the President of the United States. So, and you know, I don't know, those of you who haven't read my blog at all, I really hate this motherfucker. I mean, I hate him. And he represents all these people I've known, you know. So it's very personal. So I'm asking everybody to have a revolution, but a revolution that is not only in your mind, and not only in your heart, but in your body, and in your genitals. And see how I cleaned that up? Because I would say balls, but not the other one. All right, so Abby, by the way, the most brilliant stage manager in the world. Very smart. She changed my life. I mean, I don't know her well, but she was talking to me before this. I said, wow, she changed my life. A lot of academics here, Abby, so, you know, you're smarter than all of them, believe me. It's a joke. I love you. I really do, but I'm an asshole. All right. Revolution! Revolution! Everywhere! You want to hit that? You want to hit Hamilton? Now get into it.
I was a bastard, orphan, son of a whore, and a Scotsman dropped in the middle of a forgotten spot.
You gotta live this way.
My providence impoverished and squalor.
Live it.
Grow up to be a hero and a scholar. The $10 found a father without a father. Got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being a self-starter. By 14, they placed him in charge of a trading charter.
And every day while slaves were being slaughtered and carted away across the waves, he struggled and kept his guard up. Inside he was longing for something to be a part of. The brother was ready to beg, steal, borrow, or barter.
Then a hurricane came, devastation reigned on man. He saw his future dripping down the drain. The penton to his
Story, baby.
connected
It's our
to his
story.
brain. And he wrote his first refrain, a testament to his pain. Now the word got around, they said this kid is insane, man. Took a book collection just to send him to the main, man. Get your education, don't forget from whence you came. And the world's gonna know your name. What's your name, man?
Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton. There's a million things I haven't done. Just you wait.
gotta put that on YouTube, you gotta blast it as loud as you can, and you gotta walk around your bedroom or your living room and do what I just did. And I'm serious. That's what we have to do. Revolution. Hopefully the show's gonna be in 2 parts. First part is about how much I fucking hate Donald Trump. Second part's about immigrants. Because right now, besides all the bullshit that's happening with the shit show in Washington, there is inhumane activity going on with these immigration raids. Okay? People are getting seriously fucked up. And I'm improvising, so I'm swearing there. That wasn't the best word. But that's what's happening. There's an indecency afoot in this country. They're talking about the alt-right, which means Nazi, on CNN, like, you know, it's another political party. And we need a revolution. Nothing short of a revolution. And we're not going to get it just by thinking. We're going to get it by dancing around, clothing optional, to Alexander Hamilton. We have to be Alexander Hamilton. We have to be Lin-Manuel Miranda. That's who we have to be. Okay, on to the prepared stuff. Now we go into the Lenny Bruce portion of the evening. I couldn't figure out how to organize this show because, the world changed this week. And I think actually for the better. Because I think these bastards are going to go down. And I'll say a little bit more about that. But I think they're going down. These pricks, this garbage. Now I'm happy to swear. This filth that we have in the White House. Yeah, I'm just going to tell you, improvise off of this. I grew up in Rochester, New York, and in Rochester, there was a bad area of town where the prostitutes went and all the drug pushers were. And there were these Nazi biker gangs that were there. Nazis, like pushers, like whores, pariahs, the filth of society, the worst. And actually, they're worse than pushers and whores. There's nothing worse than a fucking fascist. Nothing! And we got to take these guys down. And for a while, I thought the way that we had to do it was to have a nonviolent revolution. Because I lost faith in the system. Not the system itself, it's the most beautiful system ever devised. But it's been so corrupted by the plutocracy that it didn't seem to work anymore. But when President Obama had his last press conference, he said, I think we're going to be okay. And he said the people and the system is going to save us. And this is the first week, I never lost faith in the people. This is the first week that I'm starting to have faith in the system again. These sons of bitches. Sometimes you get these trolls and you get people who disagree. Like I put a post on Facebook and somebody will write in the comment section, well, I really shared this, but I don't like the name call. I thought the rest of it was really good, but I don't like the name call. Well, I have something to say for those motherfuckers. The revolution is not going to be won listening to Terry Gross do Fresh Air on NPR when the corporate stops. And by the way, I'm no tough guy. As anyone here, I have more phobias than an outpatient clinic. I'm afraid of everything. But, this is like, they're not going to take our fucking country. They're not going to do it. Okay. These are just like, I didn't know how to organize this show. So I figured, well, I'll just read you some posts, recent posts, because there hasn't been time to process what's going on. There just hasn't. Anyway. FBI reportedly not disposed to bring charges against Flynn. This is from this morning. They will as always, reopen the investigation. We've heard that. They say that his lies weren't intentional. And actually, they didn't use the word lies, because I guess part of the definition of lie is that it is intentional. But don't be, I was a lousy lawyer. I was a lawyer for like 6 or 7. I actually was good, but I hated it. But I learned one thing. I learned something being a lawyer. I learned about investigations. There's professional people doing these investigations. All kinds of investigations. Civil actions. The intelligence community. The FBI say they're leaving this open. Let them investigate. They're going to find a shitload. The truth that I know from being an improvisational actor, and I look in the motherfucker's face. Like when the blood drains out of it whenever anyone mentions like the bombing of a temple. An anti-Semite. Oh, I'm not an anti-Semite yet. Like all bullies, their power is an illusion. And it's going to fail at the critical moment. You got to remember that about Trump. You got to remember this guy, he's a master at getting attention, and he's a master at roiling controversy. But he's never worked a day in his life. And there's nothing else there. And at the end of the day, just being a showboat is not going to pull it off for this prick. Because two things, not following the law and having a complete lack of professionalism are going to bring these lazy motherfuckers down. God bless you. In the revolution, we have each other covered. Okay, let's forget now about the degenerate performance art of Trump's press conference yesterday. The con artist played us all again. He's very, you got to give the guy credit for, P.T. Barnum would take his hat off to this guy. But here's what we got to focus on. Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia picks them off one by one. That miserable Flynn got knocked off. Russia constipates the Republicans' America go fuck yourself agenda. And Russia keeps us focused on our precarious national security. I'll tell you something. If I'm Kim Jong Pud or whatever, if I'm one of these assholes, these dictators, if I'm an enemy of the United States, I want to make a move right now. But here's what we have to remember. It's not about him. Not about him. It's about us. Our justice. Now, I wasn't immune. I'm going to read it because I was apoplectic by the way that he treated the Orthodox Jewish reporter. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see this motherfucker, the way he talked to that man? Sit down and shut up. Sit down! Piece of shit. At first, I think the Rickblog is like, if it's read chronologically, at first it was like there was a fear of their power. I have no fear of these people at all, and neither should you. They're a bunch of bullying punks that have been allowed to get away with too much shit for too long, and it's just time to stand up to them. That's what it's time to do. Everywhere, in our lives, in Congress, with the investigations, everywhere. You're not going to ruin our fucking country. You're not going to do it. Here's some notes that might be helpful to you. I noticed a lot of you didn't bring a pen. Okay. These are unfinished, but these are notes on evidence that Trump himself is a Nazi. There's a lot of people think, oh, Bannon, he's listening to Bannon. He's one thing, don't listen to this stuff. Oh, he's stupid. He's not stupid. He's very rational in what he does. I mean, he's a piece of moral garbage. Have I made that point that I don't like him? I don't know if I'm, but you know, in theater, repetition is good. No, it isn't. But anyway, it's with Rick, repetition is life. All right. But these are some notes. This is just some information for your use. Maybe you can have it in friendly conversations with your neighbors, your family, you know, before you have them to run over their foot with a lawnmower. Hannah Arendt wrote The Origins of Totalitarianism after World War II. It's a great work. And she breaks down Nazi strategies and tactics. Trump and at least Bannon, but now we saw that Stephen Miller. Did you see that reptile? Oh my God! Oh my God! Mr. Trump is never wrong. You will do. The courts do not listen to Mr. Trump. Congress doesn't listen to Mr. Trump. This. Oh my God! Can you imagine? That's someone who's working as a counsel in the White House. I mean, I get freaked out if he was taking my order at Starbucks or something. But anyway, they use disinformation strategies. The Nazis assert inane facts. Inane facts. That's what they did. Like they say that an empty space in an inauguration is filled with people. But then here's what they also do. And everybody says, oh, they're crazy, they're stupid, he's being petty. Why is he saying that? But then what they do is they come out and they have arbitrary acts of violence. And we're seeing that already with these immigration raids. And they want to do it in Chicago in terms of, oh, I know how to solve the gang crime problem. Just go kill everybody who lives in Chicago. Then there won't be any more murders. I mean, that's what they do. It's a plan. It's a plan. And they follow it, so that arbitrary violence and that political correctness stuff, that's a plan too, okay? Because they say, well, we're going to do something that's politically incorrect. Because, you know, it's politically incorrect to say that people of color are all criminals. Yeah, it is politically incorrect. It's humanly incorrect. It's morally incorrect. And I'm talking to you like you don't know that. Like I'm talking to you like I'm trying to convert like the Hitler. I'm sorry, but you know. I mean, we're improvising here. I know that you get it. I don't think anybody came to see the Rick Vlog live on stage that has a history of like participating in KKK rallies or anything. I doubt it. I don't think they're in my audience. Of course, who is? But the point is that, but you know, I just saw before we left home tonight that the Congressman Castro from Texas, and he was saying that this roundup, this immigration roundup, is the beginning of a mass deportation strategy, and it has all the earmarks on it. And when they look at the list of the people that they're rounding up, there will be some percentage where people actually have like committed crime, but a lot of it is like people with a parking ticket, or people that got a trespassing citation. And you know, mass deportations are just a step away from genocide. So let's put their whole immigration policy in the Nazi bucket. In a lot of ways, it's not fair to Nazis. Really, because the Nazis hear it all the time. And I mean, you know, the Italians had fascists, but the Nazis, they perfected it, right? They're Germans, they're good at everything. He also did things, even his progressive thing, like he's jobs for workers. That was Hitler did that too. I mean, he provided all sorts of jobs. Only he really provided jobs. He didn't go to a factory and say, I got a lot of jobs, and there were no jobs. So Hitler's actually a little bit better than Trump. because Trump's not going to follow through. But that's the idea. You get labor on your side, and then you get labor on your side, and that's the way you build up your army. But that's also the way you build up the support of the people. And also, if you get laborers that are people that are more with their bodies than their minds, you get the violence that you need. Like those beautiful rallies that he had, that he became president of the United States. He did so many horrible things at those rallies. I love the one when a 60-year-old woman on oxygen, he incited the crowd to violence and they punched her out. The crowd punched out a 60-year-old woman on oxygen. And then people try to tell me, they try to say, well, I didn't vote for him because Hillary stole the nomination from Bernie. Or black people say, I didn't vote for him because, it's not Obama. And it's boring. It's just going to be back to the same old shit. What difference does it make? And the people that said, well, I didn't vote for him because, I was watching American Gladiators on the Game Show Network, entertaining their brains out of their ears. A lot of people disagree with me on this. I get a lot on the blog, a lot of comments where people fight me. I blame those people. Some say, well, Obama didn't punish Wall Street. True. They said, well, these people, like the white people that voted in the Rust Belt, they were screwed out of so many things. So he was able to prey on it. That's all true. But you didn't need, and I know we have a lot of PhDs in the room. You didn't need a PhD to see that this guy was a Nazi. When did you decide to jump on board? When the 60-year-old woman on oxygen got punched in the stomach? Is that when you said, oh, who's going to solve my problem? The guy who can't make a complex sentence that encourages people to beat other people up. He's the one who's going to get me a job. It's fucking ridiculous. There was a moral breakdown in this country. Everybody has a right to vote for whoever they want, but the moral thing to do is to stop Trump, whether you like Hillary Clinton or not. And I know that a lot of people don't agree with that, and I really don't care. Also, America first. America first, right? He says that at the inauguration. You know what America First was? It was a pro-German Nazi sympathy org. It didn't start out that way. In the late 30s and the early 40s, it started out as an isolationist organization, but by before World War II, Charles Lindbergh, who was a big leader, was making these anti-Semitic speeches, and he was for the Nazis. They called it like the New Deal, the New Frontier. They called it America First. Do you think that was really unconscious? Do you think they really did? Oh, they just meant that America's first, You never hear it reported either. They should say, like, President Trump's America First program, which has a name of an organization in which Charles Lindbergh found disgrace and lost his status in American history as the man who flew across the Atlantic for the first time and became remembered as a Nazi sympathizer. By the way, footnote, Lindbergh still was a Nazi sympathizer in like 1970. Which is another thing about being a Nazi. They were with the junkies and the whores. They're just like junkies and whores. They don't change. I mean, they change. I believe in human redemption. Somebody can change. But most of them don't. And they sure as hell don't change when they're 70 and they have a comb over the wizard dude. He also, somebody pointed this out to me. I looked it up and I found it on reputable websites. Trump has praised Hitler. So he was asked before he got elected, do you resent being compared to Hitler? He said, why should I resent being compared to Hitler? FDR did a lot worse than Hitler. And on a certain level, you could have these arguments, like they developed the atomic bomb, and it was World War II and everything. You can have these arguments on some sort of philosophical level. But come on. You want the President of the United States to say Hitler is better than FDR? Oh, vote for me. I like Hitler better than FDR. I like the scum of the earth. His father, and this one gets me because I'm an Italian American. His father was arrested at a KKK rally in the 1920s, Fred Trump. And the rally was against Italian American Catholics that they wanted to throw out of New York. So I think that Donnie has been raised at his father's knee to be a fucking Nazi. That's some more evidence. Another thing is his mentor, Roy Cohn. Most people probably know this. Roy Cohn was chief of staff on Senator Joseph McCarthy's House. No, it wasn't the House. It was the McCarthy hearings, the Army McCarthy hearings. Roy Cohn, he was a closeted homosexual who hated homosexuals and was famous for persecuting G. David Schein, a homosexual airman. They went after people in the military and people in the government. And finally, Roy Cohn and Joseph McCarthy, Joseph Welch, the counsel for the, this is, everybody knows this, but just to fill out the story. The counsel for the House, I told you it was going to be like Lenny Bruce. The counsel for the House, for the Army, in the Army McCarthy hearings, he said, have you no decency, sir? That's where Trump learned all this stuff, from Roy Cohn. The constant litigation, the constant going into the press and demonizing your opponents. This is a ruse, okay? This is a strategy. He's not crazy and he's not stupid. Now, when I wrote this, I did trust the system. So I said, if we don't have a nonviolent revolution, we're looking at a police state within a year, and we're looking at everything that comes with it. Genocide, war, nuclear war. Everything that these guys is doing is going in that direction, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen now because the system is kicking back in. Thank God. Let me, this really doesn't lighten things up. But let's face it though, isn't it time to be that light? I think we should be light, but we should be light like Alexander Hamilton, like that song. We should be light with a fight. I frankly think that one of the reasons why we got into this mess is because we're too addicted to entertainment. Fucking entertainment is a waste of time. No, I mean, you gotta relax, right? You're gonna come home, you worked all day, you came to the show, you listened to a lecture about stuff you already knew, and then you say, God, I'm tired. And you go home and you watch something, you watch something on TV. Okay, that's fine. But come on. I don't feel bad that I'm not being particularly funny right now. It's not a particularly funny moment, but it's a good moment. It's a good moment. This is something I wrote, this must have been a couple days ago. You inspired me. I'm not going to read that. I said it already. See, this is the part where it's like, this is in development. Oh, this is funny. It's an attempt to be funny. I got my sources in the White House. That's another funny thing too. You have a blog and people start asking you questions, you know, like you're Dan Balls at the Washington Post or something. Oh, well, what are your sources on that? Did you actually speak to Mr. Flynn after he resigned? No. Okay. But I got this from one of my sources at the White House. And it's a glimpse. This is actually for Monday. This is President Trump's daily schedule for Monday. And this is really a rare glimpse into the inner workings of the White House. 5 a.m. President wakes up, Skypes the First Lady to say hello, leaves voicemail. 5:05, watches Morning Joe as research to determine foreign and domestic policy in his administration. 6 o'clock, gets out of bed, meets with White House tailor to have pants let out. Think about it. I know, I'm in a glass house, you know, but what are you gonna do? It's like, that joke would work a lot better if I didn't like to eat. 6:15. Food good, food good. Revolution begins. Fat old men win revolution. All right, 6:15. Gets it back into bed for an impromptu three-way sex session with Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon. 6:17 to 6:30, studies penis in an enlarging mirror. 7 o'clock, hosts Chris Christie for breakfast. White House mess hires 3 new chefs. Now the fat jokes don't work for me. 7:30 to 9, normally reserved for meeting with National Security Advisor, President's free time. 9 to 9:30, looks at new carpet samples for Oval Office. 9:30 to 10, meets with his daughter Ivanka for holding time, when she gently caresses him to her breasts and says, there. 10 to 11, daily executive order signing ceremony. Today's order changes the national language to German. 11 to 12, goes to a conference room and sits at a table with a collection of sycophantic people who speak vaguely about deals. 12 to 2, I was getting more laughs with the serious stuff. 12 to 2, reverses, this one's good. Reverses pardons of all Thanksgiving turkeys that were pardoned by Obama. Followed by lunch with Chris Christie. Okay, 2 to 4, awkward meeting with an uncomfortable and confused foreign leader to be announced. 4, yes, someone asked a question? I thought I heard a question. 4 to 6, watches cable channels to catch up on what he did that day. 6 to whenever he falls asleep, puts on bathrobe and wanders around executive residence. Phones Putin to see if he needs anything. Re-watches the second half and overtime of the Super Bowl. Has a moment of reality and realizes that he's going to go to jail for colluding with Russia. Takes a handful of downers and goes to sleep, refusing to take any phone calls or meet with any aides who come to see him. 2 a.m. Tuesday morning, major attacks on the United States by several terrorist organizations, North Korea, and a duplicitous Russia. 5 a.m. Tuesday, world ends. Trump has just announced that he's replacing Mike Flynn with Joe Flynn, who served the country with distinction as the comic foil Captain Binghamton on McHale's Navy. Trump denied vociferously that Joe Flynn has been dead for 43 years. And Scott Baio, is it Baio or Baio? Baio, thank you. He's under 60 years old. Scott Baio backed the president, stating that he saw Flynn last week at Nordstrom's. You know, and then it's like Scott Baio's boycotting Nordstrom's. The nerve of it. As God is my witness, I will never watch an episode of Joni Loves Chachi again, or even for the first time. Actually, I said a lot of investigations were going on. They finally got to the bottom of why Scott Baio is not still shopping at Nordstrom's. They canceled his credit card. Americans don't send presidents to jail. We don't like to criminalize politics, particularly at the highest level. Nixon was pardoned. Clinton never suffered a personal punishment beyond being disbarred in Arkansas, and that's a civil action. All the talk that Bush and Cheney were war criminals remain just talk, and chance to lock Hillary Clinton up were rightly seen as being undemocratic. But if Trump colluded with a foreign power, Russia, to interfere with our election process and subvert our democracy, if he acted in all intents and purposes as a Russian agent, he's gonna go to prison. He's in the jailhouse now. He's in the jailhouse now. He truly will. Then again, it really won't be historic, because if he did commit those acts of espionage, and he did, okay? If he did, in order to assume the office of the presidency, he's never really been president at all. I'm sorry, guys, I appreciate this. This is in progress. Oh. This was very controversial. This was very controversial, and we'll see how you react to it. This one's called "Show Ponies to the Left of Me." Susan Sarandon. Last time, for the few of you that were here last time, I did a piece that really was very positive about Meryl Streep. So I want to balance it, because now I'm going to talk about Susan Sarandon. So Susan Sarandon is on Chris Hayes. I wrote this while I was watching MSNBC. Talking like a fucking idiot. She won't admit, in retrospect, that her refusal to support Clinton helped bring us Trump. She said that Trump's threat is a good thing because we now have, listen to this, it's good because we now have an awakened populace. We have an awakened populace. Isn't that good? And that's true, because there's nothing like extreme danger to be at the edge of death, to really like wake you up and get your senses going. What a fucking child. I was originally for Bernie. I wasn't wild about Hillary, but I don't want Nazis. It was an easy call. Here's the untold story of the election. The misinformation, and this is something that I haven't heard many people talk about. The misinformation campaign that helped sink Hillary was not only on the alt-right, it was also on the radical left. Julian Assange and Jill Stein are not going to fare well when they write the history books about the 2016 coup. They are not. Because Trump and Putin and Bannon and whoever these assholes are, they were very, very cunning. And they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to focus on the antisocial people. And I don't care if it's a radical fascist or if it's a radical communist. That's who we're going for. And there's a lot of people like that out there. And they knew that they could exploit that. I have one friend on Facebook. She's really a nice person, you know, very nice, but she's like way out there, and she keeps posting these things from these websites that are, you know, unbelievable, you know. Hillary Clinton had twins when she gave birth to Chelsea and killed the other and fed it to Socks the cat or something. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous what people are susceptible to when they're fucked in the head. Sarandon has zero humility, and that's, you know, an awakened populace. How lame. By the way, this is apropos of nothing, but you know, when you write and you perform, you can settle things. About 30 years ago, I took a workshop with her former whatever, Tim Robbins. You know that actor? Just an authoritarian prick. I mean, what a douche. You know, so I just thought I'd want to bring that up. By the way, Bernie Sanders, who was a patriot and an adult, he stood by Hillary, but they didn't listen to him, you know. They believed all the propaganda, and the rest is history. I'm going to read this because I like this. Fuck ideology. try loving something like a mature human being. Citizenship is hard. It's more than a stance that looks good on you. I'm not going to go through all this because I want to do the thing at the end. But listen to a good guy. Listen to this guy and listen to the thing. This is a comment. He might see this tape. Oh, I can't make fun of him. He's going to see the tape because I put the tapes on Facebook. Okay, I fictionalized this. I didn't fictionalize it. I've been retained by the devil himself to represent him in this thread. To wit, is it possible to say that Ms. Sarandon's contempt is fueled in no small part by the complicity of the DNC torpedoing the Bernie Sanders campaign in favor of HRC? That likes acronyms. Bernie was drawing record-breaking. Look, let me tell you something. Bernie Sanders would have got killed in an election again. They would have called him a communist, he would have been through. Also, Hillary Clinton, it was fixed. She was going to get the nomination from the beginning. But she gutted him like a trout in those debates. He is not as good a politician as Hillary Clinton is. And she was our best bet. And also, Hillary Clinton, I have no reason to defend her. I mean, I agree, she's a corporate Democrat. I'm more progressive than that. But if she was in, those are the conversations we'd be having. The progressives, we're trying to get control of the Democratic Party, give us this, give us that. No, what are we doing now? We're trying to avoid going into the Stone Age. I mean, it was a ridiculous, stupid fucking choice to not vote for Clinton. I mean, God, I can't believe these people. Another one said, well, I won't read it, but she said, well, I guess you found somebody to bully with Susan Sarandon. I'm bullying Susan Sarandon. I'm bullying Susan Sarandon. Like anybody ever paid me millions of dollars to put lemon juice on my tits in Atlantic City like 900 miles ago. Are you kidding me? Free speech, you motherfuckers, free speech. This is a time to swear. It is an artistic choice that I swear. It is an artistic choice. Mark Twain said that. This is a time of profanity. This is a time, they're good words. They're words of outrage and disrespect. Although, you're beating up on Susan Sarandon now. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. She's not going to guest lecture in my class. I've never heard something so fucking stupid in my life. No, I haven't. Oh, here's a joke for you. Trump pulled out his puzzler this week. Okay, there you go. These are that's show business, ladies and gentlemen. Don't say that you didn't pay money and you got good entertainment, because that was fucking good. If you can't laugh about a dick joke, how can you laugh? If you don't have a sense of dicks and farts, the best. Oh yeah, I gotta skip this. I don't know if I'm gonna get through with all of it. I don't think so. Abby, could we stay till midnight or something? I also have some old depositions I'd like to do. This happens every show. But it will not get better because I really don't care. What do you need? I'm not a poodle with a shaved ass at the circus for you people. What are you demanding me for? What are these demands? Why are you sitting there and judging me? This is good stuff. I'm a provocateur. If I could say the word, that's what I would be. Oh, I'm still not there. What the hell did I think? Did I think I was giving a Castro agriculture speech? See, that got a little bit of a chuckle. That's when you show that you're in an academic crowd. Somebody, he made a joke about Castro. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Now I'm getting pissed off at myself. What? Oh, here we go. This one, good, visual aid. This one has, see, now some people would say that's a wordy title. but I'd ask you, while we were laughing at SNL, how dare you enjoy yourself on a Saturday night? And praising the courts, our inhumane immigration policies, but this isn't going to be all policy. Actually, it isn't. There, you could read the rest of it. We don't have time. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I want to get through this. So I want you to treat this like you're at a reading now and show a little respect. I see people stifling yawns. I mean, hey, you know, it's really inappropriate. All right. Okay. You know, you didn't think you were going to have a 19-hour day today. All right. Okay. But actually, I want to, because I actually want to do this like a reading. Ultimately, Trump is just what is lousy about all of us, broadcast through a bullhorn. We as a people, and myself in particular, have lacked the gratitude to, and empathy, compassion, and sensitive awareness for immigrants and their contributions. Alexander Hamilton, triumphs and struggles. I, for one, have no excuse for this. I should have known better. And my only explanation for my behavior is self-involvement. The self-involvement which has allowed me to tolerate and ignore every other rotten element of our often evil society. A society that has enslaved people and committed genocide, oppressed weaker nations through wars of aggression, and allowed the weak to go uneducated and literally die without medical attention on an altar of greed. And those are just starters on our list of transgressions. Our greatest pride is our ideals of democracy and freedom and community and equality. And our greatest failure is how far we fall from living those ideals in concrete reality. We should know better. We should do better. We just don't got it. We are too easily occupied with the trivial and unimportant, that which entertains us or flatters us in some way. I can confidently extend my guilt to you, and shame you as well. Since we are, as the slogan says, a nation of immigrants. And I know that you, as immigrants, or the children or descendants of immigrants, should know better too. I don't know the answers, but I know we need entirely new policies towards how immigrants are treated as a matter of law and status in our country. We must act with more kindness, appreciation for what new Americans bring to our individual and collective lives, and with a much greater sense of fair play and justice. While policies take time to create and implement, attitudes can change in a heartbeat, and our resuscitated heart should lead us on this one. While we were celebrating our court rulings and cheering on the aggressive satire of Saturday Night Live, the federal government has been conducting intense immigration enforcement raids across the country. The stated purpose of these raids is to facilitate the deportation of criminals who are also immigrants, but without criminal records, and I just heard tonight, in great numbers are being detained as well. We have a White House leadership that believes in perverted theories regarding racial and ethnic purity. But they aren't the only people who should feel shame at the violence and terror behind the rationale of these raids and their execution. We are morally culpable. I am morally culpable. I used to hate when I would hear stuff like this. I would say, fuck you. We have lives. You can't love everything. You can't do everything. I don't care. Now, I'm an old man or whatever. I do. This prick Trump has inspired me. Now, we gotta go for it. Now, we've gotta try to make the country that we say that we are. Now is the time. We can't just get rid of him. We've got to reclaim our constitutional democracy. And we've got to reclaim the history of progress and decency that has so characterized our history, with all the sins that we have, with all the goodness, the ever-expanding decency that we've had as a people. We must do that now. We must have that revolution. We've always imported immigrants, either legally or illegally. And boy, what a bait and switch, because these people, it's just like slavery in a way. These people were dragged here because businesses wanted them to be here. And now, they're the whipping boys, they're the scapegoats of the whole policy. And by the way, to go off this, I know there's a lot of people from UIC here, there's guys that are from Chicago State. We teach, how many times? I've had like 4 times when students or peers have told me that they're walking down the street, people of color or whatever, they say, get the fuck back to where you came from. Can you imagine? That has happened in every class that I teach. There's at least one kid who tells me that. Can you imagine? Motherfuckers. I had something happen to me. And sometimes people hear this story and they think, oh, he's a sensitive guy or whatever. Don't even think about me with this story, okay? But this is something that actually happened to me. I teach this class that I hate teaching. It's managerial communication. I hate teaching. And I'm up there in front of this class. And there's like 36 or 40 kids in this class, And it's like UIC, it's like every demographic group you can imagine. The United Colors of Benetton, South Asia, transgender, you name it, they're all out there. And it was just the day after Trump had the executive order for the immigration roundup. And I'm just standing there, and I'm just about to tell them, I don't know what I was teaching. It was something like, well, this is the way you tell a story in case to help you. This is the way you write about it to be influential in your career, communications, or whatever. And I just looked out at these kids and like, no warning at all. Bam! I started crying. Sobbing. It took me a long time to figure out what happened. But I think it was an awakening because I was, I'm an Italian American. My father came to this country when he was 17 years old. Spoke with a thick accent. My mother's an immigrant too. Great Italian cook. My father was a big shot in the local amateur soccer scene in Rochester, New York. We had every immigrant group imaginable come to our house. Every one of them. The first time I ever saw the way adults socialized, it was at a Portuguese wedding. The first guys that ever laughed at my joke, the first people that ever laughed at a joke that I told outside of the family, was an Irish and a Scottish guy that played soccer with my father. The first person who ever said, you're fairly intelligent, you should go to college, from outside of the family, was a German lady who was a friend of my aunt's. Those kids are my parents. So thank you, Susan Sarandon. You're right. Trump has caused an awakening. And maybe there is some deep philosophical meaning to that. I spent my childhood surrounded by warmth and energy. And I'll tell you one thing too, because UIC, that campus, is the most American place I've ever been in my life. UIC is like walking around a fucking Frank Capra movie. And these kids, they're scared. I had a kid say his father was deported. I had a brilliant student, a brilliant accountant, who had all these kinds of dreams of like, and could get them because she did the work and she had the talent. She wanted to work for a big firm downtown. And she was wondering that she'd have to go back to Mexico City because she was afraid her father was going to be deported. You know, so many times you have to say, you know, what kind of people are we? Abby, is it possible to play Alexander Hamilton again?
Sure, but we gotta wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up on that.
I was the last orphan, son of a whore and a Scotsman, dropped in the middle of a forgotten spot in a Caribbean. My providence impoverished and squalid. Grow up to be a hero and a scholar. $10, founded father without a father, got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being a self-starter. By 14, they placed him in charge of
And by the way, that's how we have to fight.
And every day while slaves were being slaughtered and carted,
We gotta have all sorts of
across the
intelligence,
waves, he
including
struggled
emotional
and kept his
intelligence.
guard up. Inside he was
They're
longing for
punks!
something to be a part of. The brother was ready to beg, steal, borrow, or barter.
Then a hurricane came, devastation reigned. Our man saw his future
Go,
dripping
Nick.
down the
Take your clothes off and dance in the sun. Thank you.
Woo!